live show is brought to you by Garden Express and Yates.
Garden Express are Australia's leading mail ordering service, offering a wide range of quality gardening products. Each week on the Garden Gurus Live, the team at Garden Express will share a weekly offer. So make sure after today's show, you jump online and visit their website.
From indoor plant care to garden weed control products, Yates is the secret to a thriving garden. Later in the show, the team at Yates will share their top gardening tips and tricks for you to try this weekend. And for more advice to make your garden bloom, head to yates.com.au. Oh, are we on? I'm in the show. It says everybody can see and hear me, but I can't see me live. So I'm going to take the guess that I am actually live. Hello, welcome to the Garden Gurus Live. I'm Trevor Cochran. I am coming to you today from the Qantas Lounge, believe it or not, here in Sydney. We've been filming today, myself and Simon, just been out to the most amazing garden, and we're about to head to Melbourne. I'm looking forward to getting down to Melbourne. I haven't been for a little while, so it'll be fantastic. We have got a great show for you today. We've got all the things you expect, all your questions answered. First up, let me just say a big hello to Liza, to Barb, to Colleen, and to Lisa Edwards. Thanks very much for your hellos. You know what? It's going to be a great show. Right up front, we're going to kick off with Rowan from Garden Express. Of course, Garden Express support this show and have done since we started. And every week, I ask Rowan, I challenge him to go out and to find us some pretty amazing plants. And this week's offer is, well, exceptional. So maybe we should just get on with things and say good day to Rowan. Good morning, mate. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm exceptionally good. I can see you, which is great. I'm the one that's...
Can tell you from Perth when you're saying good morning at 2 o'clock for us here in the east.
Of course it is. That's right. Yes, of course. It is 2 p.m. over here on the East Coast. And, of course, it is just midday in Perth. Mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, really, really well. We've had an amazing couple of days weather-wise here up in Monbulk where we are. It's a beautiful, beautiful time of the year. You know, everything's starting to shoot. There's colour coming. The birds are chirping. It's just beautiful here at the moment.
Spring has sprung, and I'm really looking forward to getting there. And I'll be catching up with you guys. Yeah, so I can't wait to spend a bit of time with you and David as well. The interesting thing is, you know, the story we'll be doing, and won't give too much away, but the story we'll be doing is celebrating a pretty incredible moment in time when something was discovered that had been thought had been at least extinct for at least 2 million years. And here it is on the way back. I'm not going to give any more away. We'll talk about that a little bit further. I did want to ask you how you went last week with last week's offer.
Last week was Hostas, I think.
It was
yeah, it was Hostas. Hostas went really well. I'm sorry I couldn't be there last week.
Yep. You had a long weekend.
A public holiday for the football. I don't know how that happens, but we take it. We missed last week, so I do apologise for that. But the Hostas went off really well. Week before that, Hippiastrums, all gone.
All gone.
Totally gone. And we've restocked the Gladdies from the first week twice now. So everything's going pretty well at the moment. Are
there any more, just thinking through bulbs, are you completely out of stock of some of those lines? Is there any more possibly going to come through?
So as far as hippies go, we've got our last weekend of our hippie sale because we've had some nice warm weather. Everything's starting to shoot. So we've sort of slashed the prices of pretty much everything that's remaining in the hippie range.
Okay.
Over the last week, just so that we can get it out and into ground before they shoot too much. There is a little bit left. To be honest, a lot of reds and dark reds that are left. There's some bicolours in there too, but we are on the very pointy end of that sale. It'll finish on Sunday, and that'll be it for hippies for us for this season.
Wow! Well, look, they're certainly very, very popular, and they're a fantastic flowering bulb. Noticed mine in the garden during the week. I've got flower stems coming up now, so they're really just starting to move. So it is the perfect time to get them in, mate. this week we want to talk about something pretty important. Now we do spend a lot of time talking about women's health, but rarely do we stop to talk about men's health, particularly mental health. And it's a significant issue that's touched pretty much everybody in the community at some point in time. And let's face it, as guys, we're not very good at reaching out for help at times, and that's where organisations like Beyond Blue are just so important with the work that they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of stats for you. I mean, it's quite staggering when you actually break it down. There's around 2 million people in Australia that are suffering with anxiety on a daily basis. 1 million people in Australia that are suffering with depression. And then perhaps the most staggering stat that we know about is on average there's 9 people in Australia that take their own lives every single day. And as you say, that's generally broken up sort of 20% women, 80% men. So it's a real problem. Like, it's something that we do need to bring awareness to and somehow cut those stats down.
Yeah, well, look, the work that Beyond Blue have done in the community, they've really come from nowhere, really, and then just now they reach every part of our community. They're supporting certainly supporting men in a way that we've never seen before. And I know in the past we've done a bit of work together on promoting ways to raise funds for Beyond Blue, and one of the most successful things we've ever done has been that lavender. So I thought maybe we could head back in that direction, right?
Absolutely, we can. And as you know, and viewers will know, that we launched the Out of the Blue lavender at MIFGS this year, so the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show this year. And now obviously is lavender season. It's when they're starting to come out and look amazing. And we've brought on, so we initially had an English lavender as our initial launch, but now we have an English, a French and a Spanish, so all under the Out of the Blue banner. And the most important part about that is $1 from every pot that we sell goes back to Beyond Blue, and that all that money that we raise goes towards funding and helping support the 24/7 support services. What a lot of people don't realise is Beyond Blue isn't government funded, so these sorts of donations and ongoing donations are super important to make sure that they continue to do the work that they do.
And look, the one thing that I probably learned from the interview that I did was that they're an organisation that's evolving and developing, as this problem becomes more and more recognised in the community. And so they're honing their services to make sure that they're addressing things in the right way and that they're most effective. Yeah. And I think it's such a great initiative, and you can see we've got the opportunity for people to donate direct to Beyond Blue, but because there's no better way than getting your hands on one of these amazing lavender. If you want to get one of each or a particular one, is that possible?
Yeah, so we've got them available for individual sale in 100 ml pots for $9.90 at the moment. $1 from each of those goes back to Beyond Blue. Or you can grab all 3 as a collection or a sampler if you like. And they're priced at $29.70 down to $23, so save 20% off if you buy all 3, with $3 then going back to Beyond Blue, which is just fantastic. We love being able to do that.
Wow, that is an amazing offer, mate. And look, let's be honest, this is a way that each of us can play an important role, supporting you guys, supporting Beyond Blue, and all of us making a contribution. But of course, it's also a very nice way to remember those people that we have lost, or those people that suffer in this space. Just a little reminder, a beautiful reminder, but a little reminder of just how important it is that we back and support people, because it's a significant problem in modern society, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously lavender, aromatherapy, relaxation, very good for state of mind. So it's a perfect fit all around, really.
One of the ultimate calming herbs, which I think it's probably something that we do miss. And blue is also one that brings you down. So it just takes you down from being stressed and and cools you down. So adding them to your garden. But look, from a very practical point of view, and I can only talk about the lavender that I've got in my garden at the moment, but we are just a sea of flowers and the bees just love it. The activity at the moment is just sensational. So again, another reason why you'd want to add these lavender into your garden.
Yeah, absolutely. And a perfect companion plant for roses and things like that, which obviously we're just coming out of our rose season. They're going into the ground. Perfect companion plant for roses.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got an English, which is like a traditional it's a semi-dwarf variety. We've got a French, which is smaller foliage, but very highly fragrant. And then perhaps my favorite at the moment is the Spanish, which is the ones with the butterfly wings off the top and, highly fragrant. But that's a very compact, so you're going to get a lot of flowers out of a small bush, which is really, really good.
Terrific. Look, that's just a great deal, mate. And everybody here is commenting. Jacintha, what an amazing initiative, Garden Express. Mel Morrow, good job, Garden Express, giving to the community and especially a great cause like Beyond Blue. Nicole Enders, what a great idea. It goes on and on and on. So many people so impressed, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and it comes back to something about the business that you work in, Rowan, and it's a family business. You guys, you're all a big family. Everybody's part of the family, whether you are or whether you're not, which is a beautiful thing. David brings those values to everything that he does, and obviously Chloe does too now, carrying that forward. And I think it's a really, really good thing when you guys take that to the next level and support the community. So I thought it was great that we bring this up, and hopefully everybody will get themselves at least one. Of course, the great thing about Garden Express is you guys can be shopped 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours, and of course delivered direct to your door, right?
Absolutely. So as usual, there's a big banner on the homepage when you first come in. That'll take you straight to the Guru's Lavender section, where those offers that we've spoken about today are. But there's plenty more to look at. Obviously, we're just into spring. There's so much happening around the place. Dahlias are in full swing at the moment. So if you love your dahlias, there's a whole lot online now. But if you want to get hippies this year, can't stress enough, this weekend is your last chance for the season.
Right. And I noticed there's a few people been commenting that there's a few dahlias that have sold out as well. Is there any chance of some of those sold out ones coming back, or is that next year?
Possibly. It's hard to know. We put a few more on this week and bolstered some numbers of the ones that we had sold out of, but they do move. Dahlias are so popular, Trev, you know this. Very, very popular amongst gardeners over the last few years. Really hard for us to have enough stock for everybody of every colour, but there's still a lot online. I'm just going to have a quick look before we finish up. I'm pretty sure we've still got.
Whilst you're doing that, Leanne Clark has said, is it too late to plant dahlias and gladioli bulbs in Melbourne? She's hoping she hasn't missed the boat. My Garden Express order just arrived. Thank you very much. Leanne,
it's actually the perfect time. It's actually the perfect time to pop those in the ground now. So between now and sort of the end of this month for dahlias, there's no problem. And gladdies are the same.
Fantastic. And of course, it's one of those things that there is so much going on in the garden. You guys, your catalogue and what's available on the website is just amazing. So just check it out, folks. Have a look. There's a lot of cool stuff coming through. Now's the time to do it. And you can bundle that up with your Beyond Blue, out of the blue, beautiful lavender.
There's still about 150 odd varieties of dahlias available online, obviously in varying numbers, but
only 150.
A fair bit to choose from.
That's awesome, mate. Look, Rowan, thank you, and folks, I'm going to ask you to do something I never normally ask, but this offer is very, very unique. It really is, one, magnificent plants. These lavender are just beautiful, but two, it is helping such a worthy cause, and this is a great focus of Rowan and David and all the team at Garden Express trying to help the community. Do us a favor, share that link with all of your friends, share it around. Hopefully everybody jumps online and gets themselves a couple of lavender, one for remembrance and two to make sure that those people that need the help now and in the future have a bit of funding behind them to do it. It's a really good thing. Rowan, well done.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Trevor. And yeah, if you can get behind it for sure.
Please, folks, share that with all your friends. Rowan, we will see you next week when
absolutely.
I will be back in Perth. I look forward to actually being home. But
Well,
I'll look forward to chatting to you
we'll
then.
catch up tomorrow, mate. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Well, I'll see you then.
Anyway.
Yeah, you can hear the plane. They're calling me now. No, they're not yet, but I will be seeing you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Rowan. And look, thank you everybody for your encouragement there, because these guys, they really do a good job, the guys, and they're a beautiful family, great people, and they do something that nobody else really does, and that's deliver it direct to your doorstep. So pretty cool. All right. What we'll do, I think we might just go straight into the Yates segment. I should say this morning we've dived into it straight away, and we've got Shay driving the ship again this week. 1 week we're bringing it to you from Budapest in Hungary, and this week we're in Sydney. And again, Shay's done all the great work, but this is going to be one of the last ones that Shay does, because she's leaving us. She's chasing love, and she's going to be leaving the Guru, so we're pretty sad about that. Shay, thank you for all the great work you do. It's really good. Now, how about we have a quick look at this Yates segment, and got a great bit of info for you. Here it comes. Hopefully.
I'm Angie from Yates, and we've been helping Australians achieve gardening success for more than 130 years. Here's 3 things that you can be doing in your garden this weekend. Broadleaf weeds can rapidly take over the lawn. Control lawn weeds and promote lush green growth with Yates Weed and Feed. To promote a bumper harvest, feed your veggie patch with the goodness of a potassium-rich fertiliser. Pests like caterpillars and aphids can do a lot of damage, so protect your plants with a broad spectrum spray. Got a question about your garden? Yates horticulturists are available for free live chat advice.
And there we go. Angie doing a great job. Interestingly enough, she's out at Eden Gardens at the moment. If you live in Sydney and you haven't been to Eden Gardens, you've really missed out. It is a great spot to pop in and check out. There's so much going on there, including their beautiful display gardens, which is what Angie and the team are working on right at this moment. It's all about sharing this information. Of course, Yates is that incredible Australian gardening company that has just about every single solution for every single problem you could ever think of. And that's the magic of a company that has been around for well over 100 years. Absolutely beautiful. Big hello to Andy and Mandy at the Kalamunda Plant Company. They've just said they love the Garden Gurus Live. It's so good. Thank you very much, guys. Open Gardens WA have also said hello. That's fantastic. Thank you. We've got lots and lots of questions to answer, and I think it's probably time I get into it. And I think we'll start with Carol Anderson. She's in Kendanup in WA, and she sent us some photos, and here you can see quite clearly this is quite an aggressive, very hungry caterpillar. And interestingly enough, it is the lucerne moth grub, and it is very, very common at the moment in and around WA, and it's eating your Templetonia retusa. That's the cockie's tongue. It's a beautiful native plant, and it can strip them, really do a lot of damage in a short period of time. Funny thing is, in 2 weeks' time, there'll be no foliage left, but these guys will all have turned into or gone into cocoons and be turning into moths and butterflies. And you got to work out whether you want to take them out or whether you don't. But look, my suggestion would be the simplest thing to do is, and actually you've brought up here, and that's a really important thing, that it started ringing, barking the plant at the base, Carol. So they do have to go. Now, if you're going to do that, speaking of Yates, I think probably the most impacting will probably be Yates' success. Absolutely fantastic way to control. Dipel's another one that's extremely effective, but we'll take these caterpillars out in one foul swoop, and it basically just stops them from eating, so they'll stop doing the damage immediately after you spray. And you'll find pretty much every good garden centre or even hardware store in Australia will have a good supply of them, Carol, so I hope that helps. Remember, folks, all the questions that are answered today are in the running for a $50 Garden Express gift voucher, your chance to go shopping online, which is a pretty cool little prize. Now, let's just keep rolling. Gail Russell has asked, oh, sorry, actually, no, I'm not following the script, am I? Shay's shaking her head saying, Trevor, follow the script. Let's go with Ankia Jane first. You're in Mount Barker in South Australia. Again, sent photos through. Good morning. Why are the figs looking like this? It's 3 years old and currently in a pot. So the very first lot of figs you get when you're coming out of winter dormancy, often you'll find that they can either be dry or they can actually split very, very quickly. And it's got to do with soil moisture levels when it comes to the splitting. So if you've got more moisture in the soil than you'd normally have, sometimes you'll find they'll just grow and they'll do that. The good news is it's not the end of the run. They will continue producing the fruit. Well, the fruit, in actual fact, really is a flower, which is what you're actually eating when you crack them open. And when you look inside, you can see all the parts of a flower, but obviously with all that beautiful sweetness. So it's an absolutely incredible fruit, really, but not bad news. It's okay. It's just a seasonality thing, and they'll grow out of it. Don't worry, Ankia. So thank you for that. Good question. Sam Gaylor, hello. Any advice for gardens that are full shade in winter and full sun in summer? Really challenging. Best thing you can do is to grow things that are deciduous, and there's a whole range of them, but the ones that come to mind in that particular situation, as far as I'm concerned anyway, is some of those flowering plants, even things like, and you might be surprised at this, but even hydrangeas do really well in full sun once hardened up. During the winter, they're going to go dormant anyway, so it's not going to make any difference. If you're looking for something that's evergreen, you can use things like lily pilly and so on, depending upon how intense the shade is during the winter. Because if it's too intense, then they may start to get a little bit of black mold or sooty mold over the foliage, which does affect them. And you're just going to have to sort of weigh it up. Any suggestions out there, folks? Anything you'd like to share? Don't hesitate to put it up as well. All right, let's just keep rolling along because there's lots of good questions coming through here. Gavin Beasley. Gavin's in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales. What shrub or plants best suited to be planted with dwarf citrus trees, and how far away should they be planted? So there's a whole range of different types of plants that you can plant in and around the base of citrus, but all of them should be kept to what we call the drop line or the drip line around the outside edge of the canopy of the tree. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is that the area under the tree itself dries out. It just simply dries out. So it's a little bit on the dry side, and a lot of plants won't do too well. On the outside edge, however, you can grow all sorts of things. And an interesting combination, I saw it just the other day and I thought, gee, this is interesting, but by golly, does it work well, is blueberries. And if you want, if you would like to have blueberries, I've seen this where the dwarf citrus are planted. They're only getting to about 1.5 meters, 2 meters, with a similar sort of width. Around the outside edge of that are beautiful round hedges of blueberries. And they're the dwarf blueberry. So I think that's the one that comes from Nellie Kelly plants. I'm sure they're the ones selling that. I think it's called Blue. I could be wrong, but anyway, it is a dwarf, and it only gets to probably 60 to 80 centimeters in height. But interestingly enough, it's a really old-fashioned variety. One of the very first ones to be introduced to Australia. It's highly productive. It produces about 4 kilos of fruit per bush. So the one from Nellie Kelly, I'm pretty sure it's called Blue. Really good. I would recommend you companion plant those guys around each other. You can't go wrong. Hopefully that helped Gavin in the Hunter Valley. Okay, let's keep rolling through. Now, Rhonda Churchill, hello. Can you tell me where in Hobart I can buy glyphosate-based weed killer? I think you mean glyphosate weed killer for my agapanthus. Oh, well, look, the most common form of glyphosate is, of course, Roundup or Zero. Those are the two major retail brands. And if you can't find those in a good garden centre or hardware store, there's something really wrong, because they are a staple. A lot of people are very sensitive to obviously using glyphosate, and there's certainly been a lot of controversial things going on around that particular herbicide. Be very careful when you're using it, is my advice. I think that's probably the most important thing. Make sure you cover up, make sure you're not spraying excessive amounts, and treat what you need to treat, and keep the rest of it to yourself. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's keep rolling along. This is an interesting one. Kay Edwards, good child. She has sent us a note, and I'm not sure where you are, Kay, and there might be quite a reason why this is occurring. Kay Edwards, good child, has turned around and said, I have a black beauty rose that's lost its scent. Any advice? Now, interestingly enough, black beauty is beautifully fragrant, and it is a great rose. But the only time I've ever seen roses lose their scent is when they're in a situation where they're attacked by thrips. And if you're in Western Australia, roses actually are very susceptible. In fact, some people have pulled their rose gardens out because a particular thrip known as the chili thrip that came from Indonesia is doing enormous amounts of damage to roses. Now, it can be controlled, and the trick is to break the breeding cycle, so you actually have to jump on that right now and do that. But when they attack the buds in the early stage, they suck all the goodness out, and included in that are all the essential oils that, of course, make those roses fragrant, which is why I think your black beauty has suddenly lost its scent. So hopefully that helps out. As you can see, I'm actually in the airport, and you can hear the calls coming out for flights. Okay, let's have a bit of a look. Let's keep rolling on. Vinette Ainsberg, hello, Vinette. Could you recommend any professional fruit tree pruners, please? Look, there's a whole bunch of different fruit tree pruners. In fact, the last couple of weeks, we've been doing a couple of the electric ones. And when it comes to fruit trees, they can be, sometimes they can be quite sort of hard. And some of these new battery-operated pruners, if you don't have really strong hands, they're a really good way to go. If not, I would head to your local garden centre or hardware store, and I would have a look in the Felco range. There's some beautiful Felco secateurs that are out at the moment, and they are just sensational. I'm not sure what model I would recommend. I'd probably talk to the local store person. There's a lot of new models, that's why I'm saying. Once upon a time it used to be number 5s, and now we have all sorts of different models that we use. So check them out, Felco's, or alternatively the Stanley Black & Decker. I think it might be Stanley Black & Decker DeWalt, I could be wrong. Or alternatively, as far as these battery operated ones, there is a terrific one in the Still range as well. So Still, you need to go to your independent Still dealer. And if you're just going to the local hardware store, keep your eye out in your local Bunnings store or whatever for these Stanley Black & Decker or DeWalt pruners. I can't quite remember which brand, but that's the company that puts those out. Okay, let's keep rolling on. There's lots of questions, and I know you want me to answer them. Mel Morrow, hello. You're in the Lower Hunter Valley, Lake Macquarie area. Your fruit and citrus are in blossom, which is so am I, mate. That's great. We're not getting any bees. That's really weird. Not one. And will that be a problem with fruiting? Well, with some plants, definitely it will. Very unusual that you're not getting bees in. Sort of suggests that there may be a bit of an issue. Now, I know in that area that there has been this terrible parasitic mite that has got in, and hopefully that's not affecting the bee colonies in your area. I don't really have a solution outside of that. What I would suggest you do, it's what I do at home, is I plant a lot of borage, the herb. You can buy it from seed and it germinates readily, or alternatively, you'll find it in your Renaissance herb collection. They always have borage in there. It is a sensational blue flower, and you can use the flower ornamentally in meals and dishes as a garnish, but it is exceptionally good at attracting bees. So hopefully that little bit of advice helps. There's the other one that we sort of thought about is when it comes to secateurs, there is a newish kind of brand out there that we have been sort of covering, and I'm pretty sure they've got a great secateur selection. And I've got to think of the name of them. It'll come to me. But it's a collection that you'll find in your local Bunnings store. They do come from Mr. Fothergill's, the seed company. But I will find that information and I'll share it with you because they are really good. I actually have some at home, and I am just trying to find it for you so I can kind of share it because they really did the job for pruning in my garden this year. I can't, but I'll find it. Maybe Oh, Dalek, that's right. Shay's mentioned the Dalek. They have these secateurs, but they also have head shears as well. So, and I think Bonnie did the story on the head shears. So, good prompt. Thanks, Shay. Much appreciated. Gail Russell's sent us a question. Hello. What do you think is the best lawn grub killer for Queensland? Thank you, Trev. Love your show. Thank you, Gail. The best lawn grub killer, probably one that is the softest when it comes to the environment. You do have to control them. There's probably a few. The one that's probably is the most effective is the Yates Advanced product, and we can get a hose on of that. Really good way to go. When it comes to lawn grubs, there's a couple of little tricks that I'll share with you as well. And one is that this is the time of the year not to leave external lights on outside. Doesn't matter with low voltage garden lighting, but certainly with bright lights and spotlights, it brings insects in from miles around. What happens is the moths come flying in, they hit the light, they land on the ground, they go down into the grass, lay their eggs. And of course, that's why you suddenly see these massive infestations popping up in certain places. Now, you can't do anything about that, Gail, if you've got a street light. So street lights are one of the biggest ones. And often you'll see, now I've told you this, you'll start looking and you'll see this, but often you'll see when you're driving around, and we're in the season for lawn grub, which you are in Queensland, that around the base of any sort of street lamp lighting, you'll find if there's any lawn around there, more often than not, you'll see a lot of patches in there. And those patches aren't because of watering or anything else. They're because there's big build-ups of lawn beetle, or that's the African black lawn beetle, or lawn grub. Both of them can be quite rampant this time of the year. This is the time when everything is breeding, so you're going to see these big outbursts of certain insects. But by putting lights out there, you do bring them in to concentrated areas, so be conscious of that. Let's keep rolling through. Jill Condon, are used coffee grounds good to sprinkle over your lawn? No, I don't think so. Jill, they're not really going to do anything other than add a bit of organic content to them. Any kind of effect that you would get, like you would with snails and slugs, really, these should be kept to, I would suggest, to the vegetable garden bed is probably the best place for you. I don't really have a lot more to add other than the only other spot I'd be putting them in is in the compost bin and mixing them in amongst everything else. They do bind everything together, hold moisture longer, and that, of course, helps the breakdown happen a heck of a lot quicker. And actually, one little tip I'll give you, which I don't think I've shared with you before, but if you want to get really, really fast breakdown of compost, one of the things to do is to wait. If you've got some bread that's got a few little blue spots on it, or it's turned bright blue, take the slices of that bread and mix them evenly in amongst your compost. What you'll find is all that penicillin, all the bacteria that's on that bread and fungus, they will go berserk once they hit the compost heap. And they really turn it, and in a very quick period of time, you'll see it steaming. And it's because there's just so much bacterial life going on in it at that microbial level. And it breaks it down really, really quickly. So, yeah, the old stale loaf of bread, don't throw it out. Put it in your compost heap. It is a really valuable tool when it comes to composting. Okay, where do we go next? Barbara Ann, hello. I have a dwarf orange tree in a pot, and the graft has sprouted thorny branches. Should I cut them off or wait and see? So, if you're getting thorny growth, it's probably coming from under the graft, and if you don't pull that away and not cut it, okay, so don't cut it with your secateurs, you pull it away with your hands. If you don't do that, you are going to end up where the rootstock will take over and your dwarf orange will disappear. So hopefully that helps with a little bit there for you. Okay, Timmy Kalaris, hello. You're in Rockdale in Sydney. Love the chats. Thanks very much, Timmy, and thanks for joining us. How do I reach my sandy soil? Now, sandy soils need to be treated very different to sort of heavier soils. And there is a product, and you can get it over here in Sydney from Flower Power. It's called Soil Solver, and it's a ripper product. It's a kaolin clay, silt, and rock mineral mixture, and you mix that with sandy soils. and it's very fine. So it's a fine powder. So you just pour it over the top, mix it in, and it goes inside, like literally in amongst the sand particles, and it binds them together, and it creates what is effectively a loam structure. And once you've got that in place, that loam structure means that it holds moisture and nutrients longer, and your whole garden will perform so much better. So my recommendation, mate, is that you do go and find yourself this stuff. Soil Solver. I don't know anybody else who's carrying it here, but I do know that it was in all the Flower Power stores at one point. Maybe give them a call, Timmy. There's a suggestion. Okay, Monica Buntine, hello. I've got a lemon tree. It's full of lemons. Some of them grow fairly large and end up having thick pith and not much juice. Is there anything I can do? You're in the Latrobe Valley and you have a Eureka lemon. So it's a particular variety of lemon that does that. And I think that probably what I would suggest you do is try and pick them when they're a bit younger. So the older a Eureka lemon gets, the less juice it has, and the thicker and more impenetrable that pith is. So the trick with Eurekas, pick them young and you can't go wrong. Hopefully that helps you, Monica. Now, look, one of the things that really helps me an awful lot is when you guys send me your questions, you tell us where you're from. I'm in Perth, WA. I'm in, the southwest of WA. I'm in, the northern beaches of Sydney or Queensland. I've been lucky enough to travel the country. I know a lot of the environment. I certainly don't know it inside out everywhere, but in a lot of cases, I know enough from the information you're giving me to be able to give you the advice that is the right advice for your particular location. And the second thing that really makes a big difference is you sending me a photograph, particularly if you're trying to describe something. Often I'll get a little question come in and somebody says, look, I've got this plant, it was green, turned brown, do you think it's dead? And of course, maybe, I don't know, but a photo makes the world of difference. So how about doing that? And I'll show you how you can do it. Have you got a gardening question you'd like us to answer and you need to send us a photo? Well, simply head to our Facebook page and type out your question and click the camera icon to take a photo in the app. Or click the image option and select the image you want to send us. Be sure to allow Facebook access to your camera and camera roll. We check our messages regularly, so sit back and be sure to tune in to the Garden Gurus Facebook Live show every Friday, and you'll hear your answer. Gee, there's some good questions coming in. I'm really looking forward to answering for you. I'm going to keep flying at it because we only have 18 minutes left to go, and I know how quick that can go. Hi there. I'm looking for, I don't know who that's from. Just 1 second. Let me just... It's from Liza Tunnel. Thank you, in Mundaring, WA. You've sent us some photos. Oh, this is great. I'm looking for a hedging plant for a space about 1 metre wide, and you asked for a photo. So you did send it. Thank you very much. It's along the driveway. There's no structures. It's about 200 metres long, so I'd prefer not to build a frame. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if you're just looking for a bit of formality or something that's going to break a bit of wind, I would be going for lily pillies in this environment. This is the perfect way to use lily pillies. They're really, really good. There's a whole bunch of varieties that you could choose, from Blaze through to Tiny Trev for a small border one. But I reckon that I would head into my local garden centre and have a look and see what the varieties are. Honestly, there's probably got to be best part of 50 different varietals, and the differences in them tend to be the height they get to, the size of the foliage. Often some of those are really quite tall, and then some of them can be really quite compact and squat. So get in, have a look at the different varieties in there. But lily pillies is going to be my recommendation for you. I hope that helps. Liza, thank you very much for sending that through too. You've certainly done the right thing with regards to the soil. I can see that. Okay, let's stay with some photos. We've got some good photos coming through. Kristen Chiera, hello. You're in Chewett Hill in WA. Let's have a bit of a look. south-facing garden bed that struggle to grow anything in the shade. Hydrangeas do reasonably well, although not very big. Can you recommend shade plants to make this garden bed full and lush? All right, I'm going to suggest this plant, and you may or may not agree with me, but I can see there's a bit of colour there, and this is all colour. There are these plants that come from Ball, Australia. It's a particular varietal of breeding of impatiens. They're called sun patiens. They are amazing. They are absolutely incredible. They do a whole bunch of things that a lot of impatiens struggle to do. One of them being grow very well in full sun. Number two, being in a south-facing position, they're going to handle shade as well, equally as well. So if you do get a bit of full sun, not going to be a problem. If you're in shade all the time, they're just going to be a bit lusher and bigger, producing more flowers. And they're smothered in flowers, and each of the flowers, I kid you not, they're that big. They're huge. So yeah, do a bit of research. Sun patiens, Ball Australia, they've got a whole bunch of stuff, and we will be featuring at this series of the Garden Gurus, which is playing every Saturday on Channel 9. Margaret Campion, hello. You love my jacket. It's actually my shirt. I've just kind of worn it a bit like a jacket, Margaret. I'm half dressed. Thank you. You're in Belgrave. Do you have to dig up your bulbs each year? As you get older, it's getting harder to do. Does not digging make bulbs not thrive? It depends on the bulb, actually. Look, I leave my gladiolos year in, year out, no problems at all. They just bounce back and just keep flowering all the time. Some of them do far better, particularly where you are in Melbourne. Taking things like tulips out of the ground, probably a wise move. Daffodils, you can almost get away with it in Melbourne, but in other states you'd have to take them up. So lifting bulbs is a good thing. When do you do it? Well, you do it as soon as you see the foliage start to turn yellow and die down. Once you've kind of got to that point, it's a good time to get them out, put them into a tray, label what they are, and then pop them away in a sort of a dark, dry location. And then probably around about sort of February, March next year, pull them out again. Now, David Van Berkel tells me a lot of those bulbs, actually, the bulb flower is actually set in October, November. So wait until you see that sort of die down, because what they're doing is they're also taking all the goodness in the foliage out, storing it in the bulbs. The bulb's pretty much getting to its peak point. Some people will ask, does it make any difference popping them in the chiller at that point? I think from what I've now seen, and I've played around with this a little bit, you're going to get a far better result of popping them in the chiller in December than you will doing it in February, March. So that popping them in the crisper after they've been delivered from the bulb company, it's actually a bit of a fallacy, a bit of a furphy. It's not really true. It's, as David has explained, it's actually better to be doing it at the end of the season when they're just going dormant. So there's something triggers and sets that bulb flower, and next thing you know, bang, there you go. All right, Margaret Best, hello. You're from Port Broughton in Upper York Peninsula. Hello, Margaret. You join us all the time. Thank you for your support. What plants or vegetables can I companion plant with onions? Interestingly enough, like the trick with any of the plants that you're going to put into the ground is don't put carrots with onions, but put things like foliage plants, or put foliage vegetables, put brassicas, mix everything up, because in nature nothing is a monocrop. It is always diverse crops, so that everything's growing all in around everything else, and that's where companion planting comes in. They kind of find their little spot and they support each other, and we always forget, like you think that plants' roots don't connect, but they do. And we know now through research that there's a lot of instances where plants can actually warn other plants about the impending attack of a predator, for example, which sometimes can mean they roll their leaves up, or they do things that help protect them against attack. And that's really through plants talking, their roots connecting. But monocrops, too many of those, is not a good thing for many different reasons. One is you start to get build-ups of particular types of pests. So my suggestion to you is just mix it up as much as you can. And I'll give you an example. I've got brassicas at the moment with onions, with tomatoes. There are some capsicums, tomatoes, capsicums from the same family of plants, solanums. There's yeah, there's a lot of variety there. So yeah, just mix it up is my advice. Okay, let's keep rolling along. Hopefully that helped a little bit, Marg. Karen Liron, hello. You're in WA, Perth. Is it possible to buy a lemon and lime combo as a dwarf? I live in Perth. Thanks for your time. Yes, you can. There's definitely the fruit salad plants, and that includes mixtures of dwarf citrus varieties, which could be 2 or 3 varieties at least on one tree. The trick with this is you actually have to manage a tree like that. So each of the plants will actually have different growth habits. Some will be more vigorous than others. So the vigorous one you have to contain down a little bit more to allow the non-vigorous one to maintain a similar sort of volume of space off the plant. If one gets too big, it will smother the others out. It'll end up taking up all the nutrient. They will die off. They'll start going backwards. So a little bit of advice with regards to those lemon lime combos. Your next question you're going to ask me is where can I get them? Depends where you are in Perth, but I would suggest that if you were going to head out anywhere, you'd probably go to a specialist nursery, Wandilla. You might find them in a Dawson's Garden Centre or a Waldeck's Garden Centre, but it's really getting out to those real specialist nurseries and seeing what you can do there. Hopefully that helps, Karen. All right, Sonia Matilda, hello. Wondering what my chances are in growing a mango and an avocado in big pots in Melbourne. All right, good question. So it's where you put them that really makes a difference. The first thing you need to know is that avocados are not tropical trees. They're actually a cooler climate tree. They grow high in the mountains and in a cooler environment. So they do a lot better in cooler conditions than they do. When it comes to mangoes, if you're going to have them in tubs, you probably need a minimum of a half wine barrel. You probably want a variety like Palmer, one of the dwarf varieties, and it has to be in a warm spot. So north-facing wall is the ideal scenario. Put them in a shady south-facing position, they won't make it in Melbourne. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Mel Morrow, hello. More than happy to ask your first question. Your second question, however, hubby's growing passion fruit. The skin is very, very thick and very little fruit inside. What is the reason? Now, it could be one or two things. This is where you need to send me a photo. Because if it's the rootstock, that sounds very much like the fruit of the rootstock. Carula, Passiflora carula, it's a blue flowering passion fruit, but not a very nice fruit. And whatever pulp you get, it's pretty sour. However, sometimes with existing passion fruit, you do get that as well, and that can be caused by a virus, that thick, woody sort of outlet layer of the fruit. And there's not a lot you can do about it except for to remove the plant. So maybe take a photo, and I'll be able to give you a better answer, and you can send that through, and I'll come back to you next week. Samantha Merkel, you're in Cairns in Queensland. We are all over the place today, aren't we? Cairns is just a beautiful part of the world. You're very lucky, Samantha. I was wondering if you have any information that you have covered regarding dealing with nematodes in soil. I'd love you to grow tomatoes, and they all die because once they get to a certain size, and I've been told by a Bunnings person that it is nematodes levels in the soil. So nematodes are often called root knot disease, or what else? There's a whole bunch of names for them. There's 2 treatments, and there's 3 treatments. There was a really toxic chemical that you would pour into the soil, and it would kill them off because they're actually a microscopic insect. So sometimes, they're kind of, I'm trying to think of a better way to describe them for you, but I can't at the moment. It'll come to me. But there is a new product from Yates, or it's from OCP actually, and it's designed to treat nematodes, and it's named something like Nema something or other. Sorry, it's brand new and it's not stuck in my head yet. But it's worthwhile asking your local garden centre or possibly Bunnings warehouse store if they have that new nematode product, because it is a really, really significant. I'm pretty sure Shay's just suggested it's Nemagarden. I think she might be right. know we've covered it. I just saw it released just recently and was really excited. The reason it's so good is it's not incredibly toxic. It's using a lot of natural ingredients, and that's really where you want to go. The old-fashioned treatment was to use some of those things that some of those syrups like sugar or I'm trying to think of the black sweet. It'll come to me. Listen to me struggling with this one. It'll come to me, but it's who can think of it? Surely you guys can think of it. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. All right. But Nemagard, I think you're right, Shay. I think that is the one that we need to go. Molasses, Sonia, thank you. Lisa, thank you so much. It is molasses, of course. My grandfather used to use it on the farm for tomatoes. A really good way to get rid of nematodes in the soil. Burns them out. But I've also heard people doing the same thing with brown sugar. So, yeah, Leah, Robinson, Karen, thank you. All your brains are working so much better than mine. Thank you. That's great. And treacle, which is molasses, is the other answer, of course. Wendy, you are correct. Oh dear, it's must be one of those days. We've got 5 minutes to go. Let me see if I can get through some of these questions. Okay, let's have a look. Lee Clark, you sent us a photo. Let's have a look at that photo. Guys, can you tell me the name of this vine, please? Yeah, that's Hardenbergia. That's a grab from our recent story that Simon did on those amazing frames that are just so good for fixing. They come from a company called Jack, which is an Australian company based up here in Sydney, but they sell all their product through Bunnings Warehouse around the country. So you'll find it in your local Bunnings store, I suppose. Really cool range of different plant trainers and supports. Really, really important with these sorts of plants like that one, which is sometimes known as the native wisteria, and you can kind of see it with the flowers. They are a little pea flower, albeit more upright, very few of them weeping. The old-fashioned Comptoniana is the only species that's really quite a weeping sort of form. Yes, thank you, Wendy Fox. Brain fog sounds like a good description of what I just went through, but it's okay. It happens. Let's have a look here. Okay, Sonia Matilda, this might be something somebody else might be able to help you with, because I'm in your boat. Sonia hasn't had any luck with an English gooseberry. Are there any tips? She's lost 2 already. I think I've lost 2 as well, Sonia, when I've had a shot at them. And typically it's because they are a cold climate plant. They really do want the colder, cooler conditions. And they don't like it when it gets too hot and dry. So if you're in a dry environment, it's also very problematic. Is anybody growing English gooseberries? Not the Cape gooseberries, the English gooseberries. Quite a rare plant to see in an Aussie garden, albeit I think a lot of people sitting in Melbourne, in some of the cooler parts of Melbourne, would say they've got them. So let us know how they go. Okay, now again, we're going to stay with photographs. Nicole Enders, hello, Brisbane. Can you tell me some advice? What is happening to these indoor plants? They're in the same area as each other. The last photo shows the big fern is doing well, yet the others are struggling. Okay, so the Blacknum ferns, to be honest, the damage to that one looks dry, and so does the bird's nest fern. It looks to me like they're drying out. The one in the white basket is actually what used to be called Neanthobella. It's a beautiful little palm, and again, all of these appear to me to be a bit too dry. So I think they're definitely not. It's not an overwater, because the Blacknums, the 2 ferns on the right-hand side of screen, they will grow in water. They've got no problems with that at all. A real swamp plant. So I think you're going to need to put them into trays or self-watering pots, and I can't quite see whether they are or whether they aren't. But it definitely appears like a drying problem. Now, if you have got them in that and they're still doing that, it might be worthwhile taking them and repotting them, or alternatively, just applying a wetting agent is also another good thing to do. But I would say in all of those cases, that is a water problem. Hopefully I'm right, Nicole, and that helps you a little bit. Okay, let's have a bit of a look here. You did there is a second part to your message, and that was you've changed their position, watering scheme, but they do look sad, and they do look sad. A little bit of water, right at the moment, a bit of wetting agent and some sea salt would do them the world of good as a short-term fix. And if they don't recover, look at repotting them. But that's not a pest. That's definitely just a bit of a bit of dryness. I think it's looks more physical in its damage. Marcia Nolan, hello. Can you tell me the best weed killer to get rid of sorrel? Sorrel's a broadleaf weed, so if it's in lawns, then you hose on weed and feed. By the way, I should tell you, this is your last weekend wherever you are in Australia. If you do not spray for bindi this weekend, you will not get rid of it. Weed and feed does take it out, but of course bindi sprays a more concentrated form of weed and feed spray as a general comment. So, yeah, I would be looking at a weed and feed. If it's not, and it's in the garden, pull it out by hand, because sorrel doesn't have a root system that is that difficult to get out. So it's my recommendation. Okay, coming via Instagram. This is great. Something we don't do a lot with Instagram. We're really getting very close to our 100,000 followers on Facebook, though. Thank you so much for your support with Facebook. In fact, we're about 98,600 or something like that. But if you can share with your friends that that you're a fan, and you're able to encourage them to join, we would love to cross that 100,000 mark. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so BB888 via Instagram. Hello, been a long time fan. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a question, please. I have moved into a small home with a large established brugmansia and have been doing a lot of reading about how to remove it, and discovered many articles saying it is poisonous to touch. Actually, it really is. Often known as the angel's trumpet, brugmansia is very highly toxic, to be quite honest. You shouldn't be ideally not getting the sap on you. You really ideally probably shouldn't be burning it, inhaling it. Definitely don't eat it. The sap is not something you want on your hands, because you rub it on your mouth or on your eyes, you're going to have really serious problems. So you do have to be very careful with how you get rid of it. Long-handled shears are the best way to bring an old brugmansia down. And then I would leave all the stems on the ground and just leave it from that point of view, let it dry. And then as soon as it's dried just a little bit, it's easier to handle. And I would take it all away, and I would put it to one side, not in your compost heap. Certainly wouldn't burn it, but I'd put it to one side, let it break down. It will break down, and it will it will be okay. So it's not that toxic that if you touch it, you're going to have a huge problem. It's very unlikely that would occur. But just keep gloves on. Just be a little bit careful. It's a shame, because brugmansias are just beautiful, and that's all I can kind of advise with regards to that. There's just a couple of follow-ups. Timmy mentioned that he rang Flower Power in Mascot. Looks like they are out of stock. I know they definitely had it, Timmy. I know they absolutely had it before. Don't know what's happened. But you could jump online. I'm pretty sure it's soilsolver.com.au or something like that. And you can just make an inquiry. I'm sure they can tell you the nearest retailer. Okay, let's go. Pam Collins, I'm going to make this one the second last question. We'll do one more question after this. Okay, Pam Collins in Hillary's in WA. Hillary's is a beautiful place right on the coast, but it has the most challenging soils to grow things in. Good news for Pam in this particular instance is it's an indoor plant, Hoya. She's got, all of them are looking healthy. The new leaves are dark brown instead of green. What is it needing to return to its normal colour? Now, if they turn dark brown, often it can be one of two things. It can either be thrips or red spider mite causing that browning effect on the foliage. Sometimes it's just they're hungry and they start to lose the green, and in colder conditions, it causes them to really brown off. So by just simply increasing the amount of greening nutrients, and those elements are things like nitrogen, magnesium, and iron, it will make a massive difference in a very short period of time, Pam. So I would just do it, and see how it goes for you. Nicole Enders, thank you, Nicole. Let's just gave the ferns an extra drink. I'm certain that's what your problem is, Nicole. Just keep the water up to them. Let's see how they go. Now, there's a whole bunch of you that have got lots of questions flowing through, and I'm really sorry, but I'm not in a position where I'm going to be able to answer them this week. The good news is we're back next week. We've got a great show lined up for you. I will be back in my home state, back in Perth. I'll have a couple of plants I'm going to show you, and a really fantastic fruit that is quite different and is now being recognised for its anti-cancer properties, something that is kind of hard to wrap your head around, but there's a derivative synthetic phytochemical that's taken from this particular plant and used in cancer treatments, and this one is one that we should all be planting in our garden. The good news is now is the time to do it. I will tell you all about that next week. Our winner of our question of the day this week, gee whiz, Shay, who do you think we should pick? I'm going to put this one back to Shay. There's a lot of good questions. Oh, geez, Shay's really stuck with this one as well. I'm probably going to go back to Nicole Enders. I think, Nicole, you've done a really good thing here in bringing up about making sure you keep the water up to indoor plants. And those ferns, clearly they were struggling, not super happy. And of course, the simple way to change that is to either change your soil a little bit, improve it, but most importantly, up the watering regime and use trays underneath it. So when you do water, that some of that water's kept and can be taken back up through capillary action. So Nicole Enders, you are our winner this week, which is just fantastic. Now, this weekend on Channel 9, you will see the Garden Gurus. If you're a bit of a fan of the stuff that the team at Guru Productions do, then you'll see there's a lot of back episodes of the Garden Gurus as well. Plus, there's Our State on a Plate. Plus, this weekend, we also have Explore TV, where I had the privilege of travelling through Europe and sharing a whole bunch of amazing experiences as I travelled with Viking. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can look and catch if you go to 9 Now. And it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. But you can watch those programs when you want to watch them. And most importantly, the Garden Gurus is on at 4:30 across Australia tomorrow. Make sure you check it out. Maybe just check your guides first so you don't get disappointed. I know that one of the states last week had a 3:30 and there was nothing we could do about that. It's just how it works. All right. Well, look, I'm going to have to go because I've got to go. I've got to go and get on a plane. It's a trip south. I'm going to be catching up with the team at Garden Express tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. And I've got to catch my team. So thank you so much for your support this week. Absolutely. I love doing this when I get the chance, which is why, I do it in kooky, crazy places like the Qantas Lounge here in Sydney because we're in transfer. But, or, last week from Budapest in Hungary. It's amazing the things that we can do with technology. A big thank you to Shay. As I said, this is, I think, Shay's last or second last shot at producing this one. She's off chasing her heart, which is fantastic, and we're really happy for her. She's been a fantastic asset to the team, and personally, from my point of view, a huge help in everything that I have done. So I'm going to miss her a lot. Guys, we'll see you next week. I'm Trevor Cochrane. We'll see you for the Garden Gurus live then if we don't catch you tomorrow for the Garden Gurus on Channel 9. See you later.